Welcome back to the Prestige AI channel. Today, we're looking at AuditAce, the Audit Working Paper Review Assistant, designed to help firms and auditors deliver better quality work in less time with fewer reworks. If you review working papers, chase sign-offs, or manage audit teams, this will change the way you work. And before we start, if you haven't registered yet, head to prestigeai.tech. Sign up is free, and new users receive $5 in credits to try the system. Once you're logged in, you'll see your main dashboard. AuditAce is available here as a tile or on the left menu under AI Bots. Go ahead and open it. Here we have two main pathways. 1. Create a new audit. 2. Open an existing audit. Before we create the audit, there's one important thing to understand about user access. If you're working as an individual, you can still use AuditAce. You can create audits, upload your own working papers, and when review notes are generated, you can email those notes directly to other people involved in the engagement, even if they don't use the app. However, those people won't be able to log in and work inside the dashboard unless they are part of your firm workspace. Now, if you want full team collaboration, where multiple people can upload their own working papers, access dashboards, view and resolve review notes, submit re-reviews, and use the sign-off workflow, then you'll want to upgrade to a firm account. This is free and it's very simple. We have a full walkthrough of creating a firm account and the benefits thereof that is linked in the description below. Great! Let's now create a new audit together. For client name, let's use Pulse Health Pty Limited. Let's set accounting framework as IFRS, financial year end as 28 February 2025, and currency as South African Rand. For materiality, let's use 10 million as overall materiality, 7.5 million for performance materiality, and 300,000 as the trivial threshold. With this basic information now captured, we need to move on to adding team members and assigning roles. Since we are using a firm account to present this tutorial, we will only be able to select staff that form part of our firm. In this case, there is only one other member of the firm, Gerhard de Beer. Let's assign him as a trainee and assign the marketing account that we are using to create this video as a manager. Now click Create Audit, and you will arrive at the overall audit dashboard. This dashboard lists all your active audits. It gives you a snapshot of how many working papers have been uploaded, how many have not been signed off, the average quality of the reviewed working papers, and total cost spent to date on the audit. If you click the Export Breakdown button, an Excel sheet will automatically be downloaded that contains all data on which these statistics are based. Let's select the audit we created, Pulse Health Proprietary Limited. Now that we're in the Detail Audit dashboard, we can see all working papers that have been uploaded for this audit. Let's go ahead and add a few. Click Upload Working Papers and a pop-up window will appear. Here, you'll need to enter a working paper name, a reference number that should ideally match your firm's referencing system, and select the section of the audit file this paper belongs to. Then, simply choose the Word or Excel file you'd like to upload. AuditAce allows you to upload up to 8 working papers at a time, making it extremely efficient. For purposes of our walkthrough, let's upload our revenue cutoff testing working paper and the intangible assets capitalization of development cost working paper. It's worth noting that AuditAce is not limited to substantive testing. You can upload any type of working paper including planning documents, risk assessment workings, analytical reviews, control testing, and finalization and completion working papers. Once we click Upload Working Papers, each of these working papers will appear on the Detail dashboard. Their status will show as Processing. The review may take 2 to 8 minutes, depending on the size and complexity of the working papers uploaded, so feel free to continue reviewing other sections or perform other tasks while the system works. While our working papers are processing, there are 2 important best practices to keep in mind to ensure accurate results and to help manage review costs effectively. Firstly, if your working papers contain large raw data dumps, such as full general ledger exports or entire transactional databases, it is best to remove or summarize these before uploading. AuditAce does include automated logic to strip out some of this excess data before the review runs, but it isn't always possible to identify every scenario reliably. Leaving very large data sets in the file can increase processing time, result in unnecessary costs, or even result in processing errors. So, as a general rule, only keep the data that is relevant to the audit procedure documented in the working paper. Lastly, when including extracts from supporting documents, such as PDFs, avoid using only screen captures or screenshots. The AI cannot reliably interpret the content of images or screenshots. Instead, we recommend referencing the relevant clause or page and copying and pasting the text, or typing a short supporting note summarizing the key evidence. Once the processing completes, the detailed dashboard refreshes, and now we start to see the real value of AuditAce. Each working paper is now scored on two dimensions: its complexity and its execution. Complexity gives us a sense of how technical or judgment-heavy the work was, whilst execution tells us how well the working paper was prepared and documented. Together, these scores help immediately identify where reviewers or managers should focus our attention. If a paper is high complexity but low execution, it usually means the preparer needs guidance or additional support. If execution is strong on a high complexity paper, that's what we want to see. The file is standing up well on its own. Below the scores, we see a summary view of key review outcomes, things like the number of high and medium risk findings, any assurance gaps identified, whether there are potential audit adjustments we should consider, whether anything we identified could be indicative of potential fraud, whether any management letter points were triggered, and whether the working paper is complete. This gives you a clear, bird's-eye view of the issues identified in the review, so you can immediately see where attention is needed.
Let's open one of the review reports to walk through the results.
The report is structured in the same way an experienced audit senior manager would review a working paper. AuditAce starts by looking at the foundation of the working paper, the objective, the assertions being tested, and the relevance of the procedures performed. It isn't just checking whether these appear on the page. It evaluates whether the objective, the assertions, and the testing approach actually make sense together. From there, the AI traces the flow of logic through the working paper. This includes checking whether the description of the work performed is detailed enough to understand what was actually done, assessing whether the procedures performed match the procedures described, evaluating whether the evidence presented is sufficient and appropriate to support the conclusion, and lastly, checking that the conclusion clearly ties back to the testing and the results. This is where many working papers struggle. The numbers may agree, but the documentation does not stand on its own. AuditAce identifies those gaps very clearly. If something is missing, unclear, or incomplete, the AI will raise clarification queries. These aren't criticisms. They are the same questions a reviewer would ask in a coaching conversation. This is incredibly valuable, because it helps trainees understand how to document their work in a way that stands up under review and inspection. Findings are structured for real-world audit workflow. For each finding, the following is laid out clearly: what the issue is, why it matters from an audit evidence or risk perspective, where it appears in the working paper, and the recommended action in order to fix it. The review also checks spelling, grammar, consistency of naming, formatting, and whether the working paper reads clearly. Where relevant, AuditAce will confirm whether audit adjustments and management letter points have been raised appropriately, suggest improved or clearer wording where needed, and identify new control weaknesses of misstatements that should be brought to the attention of those charged with governance. Finally, the assurance matrix evaluates whether the level of assurance actually achieved by the evidence supports the assertions being tested. This allows reviewers to immediately see whether the working paper meets the required assurance level, or whether additional procedures are needed to support the conclusion. There are, however, some limitations to what AuditAce can perform. It can only review the documentation that is provided. It cannot check or re-perform sampling, check references, or access external systems, such as the risk assessment in your audit file. But perhaps the most powerful benefit of AuditAce is timing. trainees can submit their working papers for review immediately after completing the work, while all the detail is still fresh. This reduces rework, avoids unnecessary return visits to clients, accelerates turnaround times, and helps teams produce higher quality working papers with less effort. Once the preparer has worked through the review notes and made the necessary changes, they can return to AuditAce and submit the working paper for re-review. This is as simple as clicking the Submit for Re-Review button and uploading the revised file. From there, AuditAce automatically does the comparison work that normally takes managers a significant amount of time. It checks whether each prior finding has been cleared. It confirms whether the overall execution of the working paper has improved, and it highlights any new issues that may have been introduced while making corrections. The dashboard then updates to show the progress at a glance. You can immediately see what has been resolved, what still needs attention, and whether the working paper is ready for sign-off. There is no limit to the number of times a working paper can be submitted for re-review. This allows trainees to refine their documentation until every issue is addressed appropriately, without waiting days for a manager to find time to look at it again. AuditAce also allows you to download both the original working paper and the revised version. This makes it easy to see what changed, something that is extremely valuable for reviewers. The result is faster learning, cleaner documentation, and a much more efficient review process, with less back and forth and stronger audit outcomes. Once a reviewer is satisfied with a working paper, click Sign Off. This locks the paper. If you want to help us improve the engine, please click Submit Feedback and provide details of issues that were not identified by the AI assistant or issues raised that were not valid. We value your feedback. We use this to actively refine AuditAce based on real audit environments. And that's the core of AuditAce. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more walkthroughs and updates. And if you're ready to try it, visit prestigeai.tech. Sign up is free, and your first $5 of usage is on us. Thanks for watching, and happy auditing!